Hi there, Form 1s. In this short video, we're going to look at multiplication by distribution. So take the following example from your notes. It says 2 times x plus 3, which is in brackets. The instruction here is to simplify. Now, we've always told you to use BODMAS in order to solve these sorts of problems, and you have to then solve what's inside the brackets first. But we have a problem here because there's a variable with a number inside the bracket. So how do we simplify what's inside the bracket because we don't know what the variable is? Well, there is actually another method that we can use. This new method is called distribution. And what we're going to do is multiply each thing inside the bracket by the number that's in front of the bracket. So we're going to multiply each thing inside the bracket by 2. So 2 times x plus 2 times 3. Well, what does that look like in our next step? It'll be 2 times x plus 2 times 3. And if we simplify that further, we know that we can write this as 2x plus 6. But now how do we know that this new method is reliable? How do we know that it's actually true? Well, we can use the number example to test whether it is. We've already learned about substitution. Let's take our original sum, which is 2 multiplied by x plus 3 in brackets, and let's say that we had been told that x was equal to 5. Now let's substitute that in. We'd have 2 multiplied by, and remember that when you're substituting to put the number in brackets, plus 3, all in brackets together. Now, we can use BODMAS in this case because we have numbers to work with inside the bracket. So that will be 2 multiplied by 5 plus 3, which we know is 8. And if we solve that out, we get 16. On the side here, let's try our new method. So we'd have 2, 5 in brackets, plus 3, and all of that's in brackets. Now let's use distribution. So we're going to say 2 times 5, 2 times 5. Now the plus sign we're going to carry down from here, that's going to be plus. Then we're going to say 2 times 3. That will give us 2 times 5 is 10, plus 2 times 3, which is 6, and that gives us 16 as well. And that's how we know that this new method can be trusted, because it gives us exactly the same answer as when we use BODMAS, which is a tried and tested set of rules that mathematicians everywhere accept as being true. So the instruction for this next example is also to simplify. It's a little bit more complicated because we have 3 sets of brackets where we're going to have to use distribution, and we've got these operations in between them. So we've got addition here, and then we've got subtraction over there. So there's 3 parts that we're going to have to work on and put them together. Now, according to BODMAS, we have to solve what's inside the brackets, and as we saw in the previous example, we can't do that because we don't know what the variable is. There aren't any exponents, so we're not going to deal with that, and there's no division, but there is multiplication. And if we have a look, there's multiplication here, and there's multiplication here. Even though it doesn't look like it, don't forget that there's a little 1 hiding in front of this bracket. So we're going to have to deal with each one of those multiplications in the next step. So using distribution, this next step will look something like this, and you girls can have a good chuckle at me trying to get the hang of this pen. So we're going to say 3 times x, which we know we can write as 3x. And we're going to have 3 multiplied by positive 2, and we know that that gives us positive 6. Now this next operation, this one over here, we're going to carry that down here. And also just a really good idea is that when you're doing these multiplications, to put your answer, to put the product in brackets, because it'll just help you keep track of the sign. So I'm going to put brackets around my answer here, and now I'm going to launch into my next one. Perhaps I should open my bracket here because I know I'm going to need one. Okay, so now I'm going to say 2 multiplied by 2x, and you know that that's 4x. And then we're going to say 2 multiplied by negative 1. 2 multiplied by negative 1 we know is negative 2, and then we're going to close our brackets because we've finished working on the multiplication in this part of our sum. Now again, we're going to carry the operation. You can see here there's a subtraction. We're going to pull that into this space of our next step. So we're going to say subtract, and we're going to open brackets because now we're going to put the product from this third step, or this third multiplication, into brackets. So we have 1 times 5x, which we know is 5x, and we have 1 multiplied by -1, which we know is -1 as well. Great, now all we need to do is simplify this step in the next step. So we can say 3x plus 6. And when I say simplify, we're effectively just removing the brackets. Here we've got plus positive 4x, and we know that a plus and a plus next to each other, that's going to just be plus 4x. Then we're going to have plus -2, and we know if we're adding a negative number, it's the same as subtracting a positive number, so that becomes subtract 2. In this last one, we've got subtract 5x, and we know that that then will be subtract 5x. And here we've got subtract -1, and we know if we're subtracting a negative number, that's the same as adding, so that becomes plus 1. In the next step, we have to collect like terms, and I know that you've done that previously, but I'm not entirely sure how well you're understanding that, so I'm going to spend a little bit of extra time showing you how to collect the like terms, but if you find that you already know how to do that, then just skip over the next few seconds worth of the video. Okay, so like terms are all the terms that have the same variable or that are constants. So we have x terms here and we have constants. I'm going to put all the x terms together at the start of this next line. So I'm going to say 3x. And now the way I think about it is that this sign here is the operation that belongs to this term. So this is add 4x. That's the instruction. And if I look here, I've got a subtraction in front of this 5x. So this is the operation that belongs to this term. So it's subtract 5x. Okay, great. So now I've dealt with all of my x terms. I now need to look at my constants. So I have add 6. Then I have subtract 2. And then I have add 1. Right, so in the next line of the solution, I have 3x plus 4x, which gives me 7x, subtract 5x, which leaves me with 2x, and I have 6, subtract 2, which leaves me with 4, add 1, which leaves me with 5. And that's the final answer.